I saw a great headline the other day that said, "Will the housing market ever return to normal? When will real estate get back to normal?" And I thought it was a great question because what exactly is normal, especially nowadays? You consider the past 2 years have definitely not been normal. So I figured we'd dive into that just a little bit in today's video. Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team at eXp Realty. And as I just mentioned, today I thought we'd dive into the real estate market and when will it ever be normal again? And it's a great question, isn't it? Because, you know, things were chugging right along all the way into the beginning of 2020, and then the pandemic hit. And that kind of turned not just real estate, but the world upside down. And there's elements of normal returning, but the question is we ever going to get back to what was normal, or is it going to be a new normal going forward? And obviously that's something we could talk about probably for hours, but as it particularly relates to real estate, I figured I'd share a few slides with you, some information here on what has been going on the past couple of years and what that's likely to mean for us as we go forward. Now, what we saw in 2020 is when the lockdowns from the pandemic hit, everything ground to a halt, right? Everything, as we all know, ground to a halt. And normally in the real estate market, we start to see it get very busy in, March, April, May, or May, right in that period, the spring season, right? That's when it really picks up. You get the most number of new listings come to the market. You get the most amount of buyer activity. It kind of peaks in around May or June and then starts to taper off through the remainder of the year. But in 2020, that didn't happen. We kind of went on hold for about 3 months. And then it just shifted. So this time of the year, here we are the week of Thanksgiving, this time of the year traditionally is very, very slow in most markets. It's one of the slower times of the year. But in 2020, that didn't happen. We just kind of chugged right along. It was booming in the fall of 2020. And in 2021, as we got into February, the imbalance between supply and demand hit its breaking point. And that's when multiple offers and rapid price appreciation started to take off. So I'm going to share my screen here with you. We're going to take a look at a few things that have just been released from NAR's latest survey, which starts to look at behaviors, all right, and what the expectations are going forward. So here in this slide, it's from Jessica Lautz, and she's the VP of Demographics and Behavioral Insights for NAR. And she brings up a great point here, and it's something I've said for years. It's, when is the best time to buy or sell a home? And my standard answer has always been whenever it's the best time for you to buy or sell a home, right? It's not usually timed on the market. That very rarely comes into it. It's traditionally based around a life event, right? I mean, someone gets married, they're having a first child, the apartment's no longer big enough, kids have moved out, it's time to downsize, job change, divorce, something along those lines. That's what Jessica points out here. She says home sellers have historically moved when something in their lives changed, a new baby, a marriage, a divorce, or a new job. But the pandemic impacted life for everyone. And for many, this became an impetus to sell and make a housing trade. So it's kind of ironic when you think about it that the entire world had a life event. I mean, everyone had a life event. And many people, as a result of that, began to realize that the current home just didn't work, right? They were in an apartment that was now serving as an office and a classroom. That didn't work. They were in a smaller home and suddenly decided with all the space or all the time that we're spending at home now, this isn't working. We need more space. So the definition of home changed. And as a result of that, it made many people want to go on the move. The other thing that was kind of interested in this is historically, usually about every 6 or 7 years is when people move, but the pandemic also changed that a little bit. So here, this is from that exact same NAR survey. It says the pandemic likely spurred occupants to shorten their home stay as tenure in the home decreased to 8 years from 10, according to the NAR report. This is the largest single year change in home tenure since NAR began collecting such data. So, what does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like, but what does it exactly mean? So, as you can see, going all the way back to 1985 through 2008, on average, tenure in a home was about 6 years, occasionally up to 7, but 6 years. Okay, from 2009 on, that started to increase. So it started to increase for a number of reasons. In 2009, 10, and 11, it was increasing because no one had any equity, right? The market had crashed, right? Equity was cut for so many different people, they couldn't go anywhere. They may not have lost their house, but they certainly didn't have enough equity in their home to sell and make the down payment that they were looking for on another home. So all of a sudden, the amount of time someone was spending in their current home started to increase, went from 7 to 8 to 9 years, up to 10 years. Not only that, it stayed up around the 10-year mark for quite a while because mortgage availability and credit standards were tightened greatly after the crash. Very loose mortgage standards is what got us into trouble. So those standards went ridiculously tight. And people that could qualify for a mortgage if they'd have applied back in 04, 05, now all of a sudden in 2010, 11, 12, couldn't qualify. They couldn't get a mortgage. Those standards had tightened up so much. And we saw that, and that also helped extend the tenure, the amount of time people were spending in their home. What we're seeing now is in 2021 so far, we actually saw that the average tenure in a home dropped to 8, right? Dropped to 8 years. Does that mark a new trend? I don't think so. Is it going to stay around 8? I'm not sure. It's too early to tell. What I think it did do is a lot of people out there suddenly realized that the home that they had wasn't working, right? They needed more space. You have people that were saying their plan was to live in a condo downtown. Pandemic hit, and they're suddenly like, we don't want to live in a building with all these people around us. We want more space. So they started moving out towards the suburbs. So you had definitions change as a result of this, of the worldwide pandemic, right? That we're still working our way through now. And as a result of that, inventory started going down, down, down. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a situation where even if there's someone that's ready, willing, and able to buy, what are they going to buy, right? Where are they going to go? Slowly, that's starting to change. We are actually seeing inventory hold steady. Normally, inventory falls continually at this time of the year. Right now, in many markets, it's treading water and holding steady. In areas like Phoenix, it's going up. In Southern California, Temecula, it's still trending down slightly, but not very much. Here in Frisco, Texas, we're kind of holding steady, right? It's actually ticked up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Not a lot, but it's ticked up slightly. So when that NAR survey that was done went back and asked people, why is it you're planning on making a move? Why is it that you're thinking about selling now? Here's what they said. 33% realize that they want different home features after spending more time at home. 37% say their home no longer meets their family's needs, while 32% want to move closer to friends and family, and 23% are looking for a home office. I know of many people that are looking for a second home office, for instance. So as you can see from this information, we've got a real estate market that's kind of in flux. I do think we're going to see more inventory come onto the market. Ironically, the latest surveys that were done of prospective home sellers have indicated that they're not going to wait until March to put their homes on the market, that is likely to pull forward into January and February this year. So we should start to see that inventory increase as we move through the holidays. Again, the best time to buy and sell is when it's the right time for you to buy and sell, and based on your specific needs. Now, in the description below this video, I've put a link to the market research reports I use that tracks information on every single home in every single market across the entire country. You can click on either one of those links, and from that report page, you can go ahead and type in any city or zip code in the country and get the latest information specific to your market. And as always, if you enjoy this information, you want to be notified when I post a new video, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Hit that little bell icon for that notification. And if you have any questions whatsoever or a situation that you'd like to discuss in more detail, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can always give me a call at 888-447-9650.